I shouldn't say you got to work extremely hard to change your perspective or work on that, because that's really not the truth, and that's really unfair to say like work hard at changing your perspective. A lot of times you gotta take time, bro. Like a lot of things just take time. You know, time really does heal all, bro. Like honestly, you know, it's easy like in the moment to feel, you know, to feel like, you know, you're so right and you're always going to be right about something, and you know, it's easy to feel that way. But like once you give yourself like some grace and some time, I guarantee you you'll be able to come at certain situations that were just extremely confusing or extremely difficult to understand. You'll be able to come at it with a certain grace and a certain like mentality later, just from taking a deep breath, assessing the situation, and looking at it from the opposite viewpoint, more than just only your viewpoint. Thanks for tuning in to my gaming podcast, Gems in Gaming, where I play various games and tell different stories about my life, experiences, wisdom, anything to help inspire and encourage others. You were born with the ability to change someone's life, and you should never waste it. If you enjoy, please like, comment, or subscribe. Yo, what's going on, y'all? Alright, so I gotta do this one with headphones because it's Overwatch. We're gonna make this one also quick. And it's a simple message that I thought was important. And I don't know why I try to do messages while playing Overwatch. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, to try to articulate a point that I think is great, but you know, let's try it out, man. Let's do it. Why not? Today's Gems in Gaming is very simple. Check your perspective, not the message. Alright, so a lot of times when we try to understand certain things, or when we try to understand things that don't really click for us, a lot of times we start blaming the message for being unclear, or we start blaming the message for not meeting the criteria that we deem appropriate in order to be delivered. So for example, let's just say you arguing with your lady, you know, and I do this all the time. I'm sure a lot of husbands do it, but you arguing with your lady about something, who knows, something simple, and a couple days go by. Next thing you know, you tell yourself like, dang, she was right. She was right. Like, now I gotta go back and admit that she was right and let her know she was right. But you only get to that conclusion after you let some things sit, and then your perspective changes on the situation that you were talking about. Right? So I gave like a very, I would say, normal example of, you know, something that would happen to anybody. But that's why I'm saying check your perspective and not the message. Like a lot of the time, our perspective is what needs to be adjusted in order to truly understand something. You know, there is a very simple way to ruin a relationship, and that is to well, I don't want to say ruin a relationship, but a lot of relationships are ruined because of miscommunications. Like, not being understood is an easy way to really like hurt or really way to feel like hurt or not like appreciated, because being understood is something that requires work. You know, it's not really something that it's not really something that I would say is just like gonna happen overnight. You know, understanding somebody or trying to understand somebody is, especially if it's not really somebody that you're like accustomed to speaking to or accustomed to working with. You know, that takes a lot of effort. You know, and a lot of us blame other people for not explaining the message appropriately. But in reality, like, but in reality, you gotta put in the work to understand certain people. You gotta really change your perspective sometimes. You know, in reality, you gotta work very hard at. You gotta work very hard at. Sorry, y'all. As y'all can see, it's getting kind of crazy. Yeah, he's done. He's cooked. And you know what? I shouldn't say you got to work extremely hard to change your perspective or work on that, because that's really not the truth, and that's really unfair to say. Like, work hard at changing your perspective. A lot of times you gotta take time, bro. Like, a lot of things just take time. You know, time really does heal all, bro. Like, honestly, you know, it's easy, like, in the moment to feel, you know, like, you know, you're so right and you're always going to be right about something, and, you know, it's easy to feel that way. But, like, once you give yourself, like, some grace and some time, I guarantee you, you'll be able to come at certain situations that were just extremely confusing or extremely difficult to understand. You'll be able to come at it with a certain grace and a certain, like, mentality later, just from taking a deep breath, assessing the situation, and looking at it from the opposite viewpoint, more than just only your viewpoint. Also, a lot of people beat up the messenger when they don't like the message, right? Like, that's another thing I would say, check your perspective on. And look, we all guilty of it, bro. Like, I would say we're all guilty of it. You know? I mean, I was about to give another example about husband and wife's arguing, but you know, my wife watches this content. I don't want her looking at this and being like, "Oh, so you got a problem with her? You got a problem that she's obviously gonna solve." But let's just keep continuing that example, because it's you know, it's benign. It's not that big a deal, and it's something that I think, like I said, we all typically go through, even if it's not your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your, like, anyone you're in a relationship with, you know, or anyone you just having a discussion with, a miscommunication with. You know, it's very normal, and I mean very normal. Oh, sorry, y'all, one sec. It's very normal to argue with somebody and sorry, I'm trying to get but yeah, it's very normal to argue with somebody, misunderstand somebody, and then blame them for your misunderstanding. Like right there, for example. Like, me personally, I wouldn't have did that. But you know, probably after the game, I'll think about, like, okay, this is why he did it. And even though I don't personally agree with it, come on, bro. Even though I don't personally agree with it, you know, there might be a reason for there might be a method to the madness. At least that's what I would like to think. Let's go ahead and get out this room. And if there is, you know, it'll come to you. It'll come to you later. It doesn't have to come to you like at that moment. Also, another thing in our society and Western culture, we feel like we gotta get everything right. Like, we feel like we just gotta be correct about everything. And if we're not correct, then, you know, we're the worst. Which isn't fair. Like, it doesn't really make any sense if you think about it. Like, we shouldn't feel like we need to know everything and we need to have every perspective. Like, there's no need to feel that way. And you know, it's probably most likely because it's school. Let me go ahead and get out of here. You know, it's probably the perspective of just school, though. You got to get everything right. But, like, that, man, that doesn't scat, bro. Like, give yourself some grace, bro. Allow yourself the opportunity to be wrong. And I guarantee you, your perspective will just change. You know. Or your perspective will grow. I keep saying change. I guess grow is the better word. Like, you'll be able to grow a different perspective just from, you know, just from allowing yourself some time. You know, I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. And I told y'all I'd be struggling trying to articulate these points, especially when I'm playing something difficult like this. So, like, in the playthrough, as I rewatch this again, I'm sure it'll make a little bit of sense. At least that's my hope. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Stay in the tree, y'all. Oh, res me. Oh, res me. Oh. But, yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. Oh, yeah, let me get closer, man. I know my camera like, hey, bro, you a little too dark to be going in the shadows, homie. Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah, we in round 2. Let me tighten up for this round, man. But y'all get the point, man. Check your perspective, not the message. Give yourself some grace. Allow yourself some time to look at things from a different viewpoint. Like I said, this was going to be a lot more lighthearted than most of the stuff that I talk about, man. But time reveals all, and truth is consistent. So y'all take it easy, and God bless.